And hello again, everyone. I'm Scott Levin with another edition of Get to Know. And before we get to our very well-known guest, I want you to know that we are still in the world of COVID and coronavirus. We are socially distant, and we've got hand sanitizer. Our camera guys have got masks on, so we're all A-OK to film Get to Know. We are here in a beautiful restored building, Shea Seneca in South Buffalo. And we are here with Dottie Gallagher, a really good friend of mine from a long time ago. I won't say how long ago, but she is the CEO, president, the top dog at the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership. Dottie, welcome to Get to Know.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Glad
and to be your first guest post-COVID.
Post-COVID, that's right, in a COVID world.
Mid-COVID, whatever it is. Yeah.
And thank you for the new mask also.
You're welcome.
I love that mask. Tell everyone, first and foremost, why we are here in South Buffalo, number one, and number two, in this incredibly beautiful restored building here on Seneca Street.
Well, when you asked me to be on this, it was like, find a place that resonates with you. And this place and its location really resonate with me. I was born in South Buffalo, and this building is an example of some incredible historic restoration and a thriving, what we hope will be thriving again, commercial district. And when you think about who am I and the core of what matters to me, that this building pretty much knocks it.
Now, what is it about your past that made you want to redo this? Is it because this is your area where you spent a lot of time and you just wanted to make sure that it stayed vitalized?
Well, listen, when the developer took on this project, and I think this project is really an interesting project because Seneca Street had really sort of been going downhill for a long time. And when Jake Schneider, who bought this building and redid it, really took a gamble at the time on reinvesting in this part of the city. And I think really that's where we are as a community when we talk about how do we bring Buffalo back. We have to go into these neighborhoods that have suffered some neglect. We've seen a lot of interest and dedication on the east side, which is great. And now this project here in South Buffalo, which is amazing. I just think it represents who Buffalo is and who we are.
All right, let's talk about Dottie a little bit. You are definitely one of the most influential Western New Yorkers. You're always on the list. You are a true leader in Western New York. Where did your childhood begin? How far from here? Tell me about your childhood.
Well, I was born here in South Buffalo. My mom was from New York City, and my dad is a South Buffalo boy. And I lived here till I was about a year old, and then we moved to New York City. I spent most of my childhood in Queens,
really?
Which is where my mom was from. Yep. But this is the secret. So I used to come back to Buffalo every summer for a few weeks and stay with my grandparents off Seneca Street because my aunts and uncles were closer to my age. My dad was the oldest of 10. So I would come and hang out with my aunts and uncles. So I have a ton of friends from South Buffalo, from my childhood, just coming here in the summers for respite from New York City, and then we eventually moved back to Buffalo when I was in middle school, and I've pretty much been here.
Tell me about that. You were in middle school, you moved back. Where did you go to school, and what did you like to do, and what was it that made you drawn back to Buffalo besides just family?
Yeah, to me, Buffalo was always the place I wanted to be, even when I lived in New York. So it always was, it felt like home. But when we came back here, I went to Holy Angels Academy. I was a good
Holy
Catholic
Angels
girl,
right?
Voted most spirited.
Of course, just goes to suit her.
What can I tell you?
Right.
And then I went to college in Baltimore, and then worked for a little while in Dallas. So I've kind of been other places, but I've always wanted to be back here.
And what did you major in college? What were you interested in?
Well, when I started college, I was going to be a teacher, which thank God I'm not, and I thank you to all the teachers who are out there.
That is a tough job.
I would have been a horrible teacher, but I come from a family of cops and teachers and principals, administrators, so that was just sort of the natural path. Right. And when I was in college, I got involved as the assistant director of organizations for student government. And I got to do things like plan the movie calendar for school and decide what nights dances were going to be.
You were already an administrator.
I was.
Right.
And I was like, what do they call this job in the real world? This is what I want to do. And someone said public relations, which it wasn't, but that's what it wound up being my major, and eventually worked my way, up into marketing and now into, being a CEO.
Explain to the folks at home when they hear the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership. It's a fancy, fancy term. What does it mean to the person at home that's watching this right now? Buffalo-Niagara Partnership. What exactly does the partnership do?
So the partnership is really the Regional Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development organization. So our work revolves around three things. One is advocacy. We really try to talk to government officials and public officials about decisions that they make and how they impact business, right? Because the only jobs, the private sector jobs in our community, both not-for-profit and for-profit are the jobs we as taxpayers don't pay for.
That's right.
So what our job is to try to stimulate and create more private sector jobs. So the partnership is a place where all these businesses come together so they have a unified voice to the public sector, and also to do business development and convening. So we bring people together to sort of solve challenges. So for example, we do a membership survey every year, and 5 years ago or so, when we started asking the question, how difficult is it for you to create a diverse workforce? 25% of our membership said it was. Well, last year, 65% said it was.
Really? So, wow.
So we are doing a lot of work now with employers, creating diversity and inclusion programming, and helping employers figure out how they can create an inclusive workplace where diverse people will want to work. So that's how it works. We really just, almost like a co-op for business.
Right.
What do they need, and how can we deliver it to them?
Tell the folks a little bit about what It's Our Job is all about.
Yeah, so when COVID hit, since we represent the business community, we started listening to the voice of business. We helped them figure out what does it mean to shut down and how do I reopen. So taking all of the inputs and really communicating clearly. We did over 30 webinars. We set up a help desk. We've done all kinds of stuff. We did a survey about the impact of COVID on business. And we heard a lot of things from business about what they needed. And the bottom line is we can't recover as a community unless we can stay open. And in order for us to stay open, people have to do the right thing, right? And that's what we've heard from employers. We can't go backwards.
No.
So the campaign, we created this campaign really in response to what the business community has told us that they need. Do the right thing, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and also spend more money in our local economy.
Yeah,
because
that's right. Very important.
It's super important because I'm telling you,
everybody goes right to Amazon, but
Right.
you know what? Maybe you ought to rethink that a little bit.
And it is the easy thing to do, right? And I'm guilty of it myself.
Right.
But the bottom line is streets like Seneca Street and Herndon Avenue and Main Street, these businesses are the ones that are in the most trouble. When you look at the impacts of COVID, it's really Main Street retail, restaurants, and tourism. Those are the ones in the recovery that are going to be the most challenged. And they can't stay open if we don't support them. So if those businesses are important to you, we can't take them for granted. We have to really, as we say, put our money where our heart is and really invest in those businesses. So for example, I had to buy a couple of gifts. I didn't go on Amazon. Right. I took the day, I went out to East Aurora, and I did some shopping out there.
And we're going to have is it a big public service campaign that'll be out there so
That's
that
right.
everyone will know about It's Our Job?
Right, so it's got a few facets. Number one, it was built as a platform for the whole community.
Right.
So Crowley Webb and Associates built it for us, and they did a marvelous job. Channel 2, thank you.
Right.
And the Buffalo News have really propped this up, but it's the NFTA, it's anybody who wants to be involved. All of our local banks are participating in a small business kit distribution where we're going to bring signs and masks and supplies to 2,500 local businesses to help them stay open. And we really are all in this together. And the It's Our Job platform really connects your behavior to our ability to keep our economy open
That's
and
the
thriving.
key right there.
And
Because we can't go backwards.
We can't go backwards.
Can't afford
We
to.
work so hard to get where we are right now.
Right.
And cities like Buffalo are going to be challenged in a post-COVID world.
So a couple more questions before we let you go. How is Buffalo doing right now? How are we doing?
Well, it's hard to say, Scott, to be perfectly honest. I mean, before COVID, we were headed on a really good trajectory. All the arrows were pointing in the right direction.
Right.
But we don't even really know where
damage.
Unemployment is going to wind up.
Right.
So it's hard to say. I mean, I think that's really the challenge, is the uncertainty. I mean, when I talk to, and I talk to our businesses all the time, certain industries are doing well, but even the industries that are doing well are having challenges with their supply chain. Right?
Yeah.
So it's really too soon to tell, which is why we are in this interim way saying, well, let's take control of what we can take control of so that we can keep the economy moving.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna continue to hear more about It's Our Job. And finally, tell me about your interests. What do you like to do on a weekend? Where do you go on vacation? Where can we find you at a restaurant? What do you like to eat? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'll start with the travel part.
There you
because
go.
I love to travel. That's my thing. So my last trip which was really right before COVID hit, was to Australia.
Oh, you went to
Fiji,
Australia?
and New Zealand.
You're kidding.
No, it was
I
amazing.
so want to go to Australia.
Oh, I have an uncle who lives there.
Okay.
My uncle from South Buffalo who lives
Okay.
in Sydney.
Right.
So I've been wanting to get back to see him for some time. And my daughter and I are huge Lord of the Rings nerds. So we went to New Zealand to go to Hobbiton and really, do all of that.
We are getting to know Dottie. We certainly are.
Yeah, so that's, and I have to say, in my free time, whatever time I have, I do like to travel. I have some friends that live out of town. My son lives in Chicago. So, if I have time and money, that's what I prefer to do.
Well, it is so great to see you. I've been here 22 years. I think we've known each other almost 22 years.
That's right. Oh, gosh.
And I've watched you climb to the top.
I was still in diapers.
Yeah, yes. We're both in our 30s, right?
Right, again.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great to see you at the top of your game right now.
Thank you, Scott.
And you see yourself staying here for quite a while?
Oh, yeah. Where am I going?
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to retire in Buffalo?
I'm here. I probably will. I mean, to be honest, it'll depend on what happens with my kids.
Right. Same with mine.
Right. Who knows? But I don't see leaving.
But your heart is always here in Buffalo.
Yeah, for sure.
Dottie Gallagher, always great to see you.
Same, Scott.
Thanks for joining us. It has been a joy to get to know you today.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of Get to Know. Hopefully you can click that subscribe button and also the notification so the next time we have another edition of Get to Know, you'll know about it. Thanks for watching.